We are live and alive. Ladies and gentlemen, Rex Bear Leak Project reporting to you live in a garage down by the river. And we have Ellen King with us today. We're going to talk about these incredible goggles that some say, urban legend anyway, you can see demons, you can see into different dimensions. And if you research the first generation night vision goggles, they used a different type of tube and a different technology similar to the technology that we're wearing right now. Ellen was sharing with us one of the differences about possibly one of the differences. You've been breaking this down. Great to see you. Before we get into that, before we get into this, how the heck are you?
Hey, I'm doing great. Obviously, because I got my designing goggles a year and a half ago.
You got them a year and a half ago?
Yes, I got them it's been like a year and a half I've had these things.
Oh, wow.
As soon as I found out about the Museum of Tarot having these, I was like, they're mine. Even though it's like kind of expensive, you know?
They are. And I was like looking on Amazon and I was seeing goggles that were supposedly the same thing and they were going for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 bucks. I almost bought a pair, but my friend Eric was like, no, those are not anywhere close to what these things are. So I'm like, okay, fine. I'll spend the 200 and something dollars. I think I got a $60 coupon for them and they were still like 230 bucks.
Yes.
But like I said, folks, the majority of the money that I make with Leak Project, I just spend back on Leak Project. So Kristen's kind of like, can we maybe buy a house? You know, we're spending way too much on rent, but I'm having so much fun sharing all this. But anyway, so I'm starting to get acclimated with these a little bit. And I'm noticing that there's like, you can see a grayish hue that goes around your hands. Like if you look at it, it's like an outline almost.
Well,
I'm going to take you.
Yeah, you can see different things with the light, and you know the different colors do very interesting things. So I have the red ones on, and if you go outside, everything in nature is red, and you can look up at the sky, everything gets weird. So they're kind of amazing and weird at the same time. But I do suspect that instead of the light frequency coming towards you, I think the light frequency has to go outwards. The goggles that they use, the night vision goggles, the original ones, they use a light spectrum in order to be able to see into the darkness. And that, I think, is what we're missing with just having these lenses. The lenses have no electronic device, you know, attached to it. And so I think scientifically, you need some specific type of device to be able to send light through the lens and outward in order to be able to see. And I'm not an engineer or that kind of scientist to have that mind, but this is what I suspect. So, but they're just amazing, but I can hardly see, like I can't even see the screen when I put these on. If I leave them on long enough, I'll start seeing a very faint outline of us on the screen, but it's mostly black.
Yeah, I can see the screen now. I can barely the outline.
Yes.
And
are you using the red ones?
Oh, I don't have the red ones on. I've got the other ones. That's right.
Okay.
Stock.
Yeah, these are the purple ones. Let me put now the purple ones you can see a lot better. You can see. And the outside gets brighter and a little bit paler with the greens and stuff, all the tones. So, yeah, and I'm looking at the camera lights and they're more of a pale type blue.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, what's interesting is I have Christmas lights, white Christmas lights in my studio, and they're actually red with a gold glow around them. It's kind of, that's like, whoa, what are these goggles? You know, what are they doing? But your hands, you can see the resonant frequency, you know?
I'm seeing something. See that aura.
Yeah.
Maybe also what I'm going to do is I've got 2 extra set of lenses here and I can put one of these over the camera and then we can see if it will pick up anything. Looking at me, like if it'll pick up my energy field or something.
Let me see. This is the red, and it is so hard to see through these, except when you go outside in the daylight and you can see everything's red. And it's like, whoa, this is weird.
Yeah, that just completely blocks it 100%. Look at that.
Yeah, and the blue ones are in here somewhere. Have you been using the blue ones? Is that what you've been using?
So I've been using the ones that came stock in the goggles, and the other two pairs I haven't opened until just now. And I think that's a red and what else we got here? It says M and L. Is that for like medium and low, or I don't know what that stands for?
I don't know. This is like a purple too. Maybe that was the blue one I had on the first.
See a little better that time. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard to do it with the lenses in the goggle, but the goggles we have are, I was a little disappointed that it was all this plastic stuff, because I thought, well, for $300, they're going to give us something that is substantial, maybe leather or, I don't know, metal.
Yeah.
So
the goggles themselves are not the highest quality. They're fair, they're decent, but the lenses themselves, I mean, that's what we're paying for, I guess, is the.
Exactly. Yeah.
Do you think we got ripped off?
Are interesting. So what was interesting is I've had these in the box, and inside it comes with the little pouches. It comes with like the little velvet pouch, and they actually had a film on them. I had to clean these with soap. I'm not going to clean them with any kind of like industrial cleaner, but they had some sort of like film. I don't know what it was. It was kind of weird. So maybe it has something to do with the design and that's in it.
That would make sense.
I don't know. Atmospheric sludge is weird.
Look at you. You know what? I could actually put this on the GoPro and tape it to this GoPro and let it, do a video with this thing on the whole time, because you can still even see. And if I got enough light, we might be able to pick. Interesting.
Yeah, I wonder if that would work. Like, is that the GoPro that has the actual screen with it, or is that the older one that doesn't have
the GoPro 9?
Okay, yeah. So maybe you could use that, for doing the demon hunting.
Yeah.
Oh,
hey, tell me, sir, are you a demon?
And I wonder if they could see demons in the daytime, or if it was only at night, because they were night vision goggles.
So they wouldn't have them on in the day, because it would blow out the tube.
Or maybe they just, wouldn't do much. I mean, what's the point in putting them on in the daytime, right?
Well, I mean, it would destroy the tube if you did that, is what I'm saying. Like, I've got a pair of night vision goggles.
Oh, you do?
You turn it on and there's a bunch of light. It'll fry the tube.
Oh, wow. Okay. This is how my mind works. I start like working out the details. And there was a diagram that I had found about how to, it was from that guy. I forgot the guy's name, again with an F, I think, that developed the lenses. And I have all that information on my computer, and I'd have to go and.
Dr. Kilner, he was the one that developed these goggles when X-rays were like just in the beginning stages, basically scientifically, and they've kind of disappeared. There's not much information out about them, but I am interested to know, like, if I was to go out in public, seriously, with these goggles on and just stare, go to the mall or something like that. It'd be kind of creepy though. People are like, what the hell is this dude doing, man? I would probably creep a lot of people out. So I don't want to do that, but I'm just like,
do you really care what people think? I mean, really, does it really matter? Just tell them that you're doing an atmospheric experiment, and they'll just be like, oh, okay.
I'll have a sign next to me that says, I know this looks creepy, but I'm doing an experiment for atmospheric conditions. For Al Gore sent me here. We have to solve part of the global warming situation.
Illuminati experiments. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Illumination.
Yeah. Well, it kind of is. It's for our illumination on how to see into these other dimensions. And I know there's a way. And we need the subscribers, your subscribers, my subscribers, the people watching this. We need everybody to chime in, because that's how we are going to find out the truth about everything, because that's what's happening right now.
Yeah. True.
Very excited though. So lately I've been delving into the whole notion of sound creating light, right? Have you seen those science experiments where they create light bubbles under the water with sound?
No. Very cool. Tell us about that.
Oh yeah, you got to look at this. Okay, this is all science, and they will put a sound in the water. They have some way to make bubbles with sound, and when the bubbles burst, they emit light. What is that telling us? That our voice is creating light. So my mind goes click, 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 and it starts putting all the little pieces together that I've been picking up on the trail of the cathedrals. There's this whole notion with the stone cathedrals that don't have like the sound dampening qualities in them. This is all in the Tartarian narrative, why these cathedrals and then these buildings, these stone buildings, all this stuff, it's all based in sacred geometry. And sacred geometry is sound. That's cymatics. And it creates light frequencies. So when I look at the cathedrals, I'm like, oh my gosh, those cathedrals, if they have an octagonal shape where near the roof, they'll have a domed roof and then it has an octagon at the top. The octagon is actually an amplification of light frequency. And with all the people toning together, male and female, because they complete the solfeggio scale, that means that they are creating the entire sequence of a harmonic balance through the ether, and it can create this healing effect based on what sounds they're emitting with their voices. And this is why when you pray over the water and you put your intentions over the water, you can heal people. Because there was a well in Conyers, Georgia, that people say they saw the Mother Mary in the clouds over this well. And that water is no less than amazing. I actually got to experience some. So when I had all my artwork and I was selling all this stuff around Atlanta some years ago. I don't really do that much anymore, but there was a gallery, an art gallery in Roswell, Georgia, where I had to pick up some artwork, and I had a flaming sore throat at the time. And I told the three girls there, the three women who owned the gallery, I said, oh my gosh, because they're like, how are you? I'm like, my throat is burning like on fire. And she goes, wait a minute, I've got something for you. She goes back in the back and brings out one of the old canisters, a film canister with some water in it. And I was like, okay, what is this? She's like, this is some water from the well in Conyers, and it will heal you. And I was like, what am I supposed to do? Drink it? And she's like, no, don't drink it. She's like, just take your finger, dip it in the water, and just put it wherever you're ailing. So I did that. And no lie, all of a sudden, instantly gone. No more pain, no more suffering. And I was like, wait a minute. I'm like, are you serious? Are you serious right now? So now that I've been learning about Dr. Masaru Emoto and what he discovered, with the sound of our voice and our intentions, putting it into water and saying, I love you, I hate you, and then having the placebo water, we're basically either harming ourselves with our thoughts, or we're helping by putting loving intentions towards each other and loving intentions towards, everything, and creating a beautiful world. And then the cathedrals, I'm like, oh my gosh, it only it feels like it just is coming back to my memories about the cathedrals and how important they were, because they utilized and harnessed the 4 elements of alchemy: air, fire, earth, and water. And when you had the people, the men and women were very important to come together, because, again, it completes the solfeggio scale. Toning together, where you have high and low tones. And people have been doing in science, they're also doing this. And they're destroying like cancer cells and stuff. I don't know if I should say that. But then in science, they are actually saying that they're able to cure certain things or destroy certain things, and to heal people with frequencies. And I'm like, it's not the science, it's us. It's us. We have the power right now if we can just return and restore the lost memories of this information. And it's very powerful that our sound emitting from our voices is creating light. And our sound is going to be the weapons against the artificial intelligence Ahriman that is manifesting right now. So, oh my gosh, that Ahriman thing is just, woo, Age of Aquarius. That's going to be the challenge. Ahriman is Angra Mainyu in Zoroastrianism. And I know I can segue from completely
let's get into this, because I've been thinking a lot about Ahriman lately, and I think this AI stuff and technology, those are like tools for him. I think he's like an actual being, like a very powerful ancient being that uses technology for kind of usurping. I don't necessarily know if he's evil like we would think, but he's very stern and like powerful and doesn't want anything to get in his way. Basically, that's kind of what I'm picking up here. Maybe. And
I do. And to add to that, you know, they talk about the fallen angels. We are angels, but we don't recognize that. We actually have come here to have this experience, but we have not ascended fully because we're not emitting light from our bodies. But there are those who have been here for a very long time who cannot ascend because they have taken on so much darkness. This is what my research has been showing me, just my trail of looking and digging, because that's what I normally do. I spend most of my hours just digging for information, and I've kind of taken a hiatus for 2 weeks. But based on some of the things that have been coming across, tying it into the Angra Mainyu, the Gnostics are the ones who held this knowledge about Ahriman and this time period that we're coming into, because the Gnostics were the Greeks and they held on to all of this sacred knowledge. So what can we learn from the ancient past? This is where we really need to be investigating, is further into the ancient knowledge. And some of those people who had the most profound knowledge are Plato, Ptolemy, Pythagoras, Aristotle, all of the different philosophers of the last golden age, which was Aries. And that is a whole nother, ball of wax. People, if you start expanding outward with seeking, instead of just being right here in this time frame, in this time period, I think we need to think in terms of broader spectrum analysis of everything. Because when you start pulling in all of the different stories from around the world about the serpents, about the ancient knowledge, and about these beings from another part of Terra or extraterrestrials, then you start learning of the potentiality of there being other beings in this plane that we do not know about. And that's why I say the Norse cosmology quite possibly explains it best for us to truly grasp a hold of. Because I was also looking into Odin. Odin is Woden or Wednesday. And then we have Thor's day. And we have Frigga's day, which is Friday. And then Saturn's day, and Sunday and Moon day, and Tuesday is Mars. All of those 7 days are tied to the 7 planets or 7 Elohim that are tied to the 7 rays or 7 chakra system. Chakra, however you want to, potato, I like to say chakra just because I'm westernized, I guess, but it's all part of our spiritual growth, but people haven't truly made that full connection yet about the rays of light being inside of us. And Mars is at the base, the root, and Mars is of war, right? So Mars is red, and then the next one up is Jupiter.
Hold on though. Mars is war, but it's also vigor and the opposite in many ways. This is
Yes.
interesting.
So you have to find everything is duality. That there's this dualistic principle in everything, and that's why they have in Hermetics you have the columns, the two columns. You have the left-hand path and the right-hand path, or the black column and the white column. Then you have the middle pillar. But the middle pillar represents the walking the path of the yellow brick road, or the golden principle in Aristotle's teachings, to ascend in your awareness of everything. But the Mars would be the root chakra, and then Jupiter is going to be the belly button or navel. That's why they depict a navel on Jupiter in Nasha. We'll get into Nasha in a minute. The navel, and then the solar plexus. And think of it this way: the human body is actually created after the universe. It's like its whole thing is like designed after the cosmos. So the sun, or solar plexus, has the ribs as rays that emanate upward and around it. Because if you think about where the solar plexus is, you have the ribs as sun rays, which is interesting. But then you go up to the heart, which is Venus. And then the throat would be the moon, or the mood that we emit with our mouth. Yeah. And then, of course, the mind, Mercury, liquid silver, quicksilver. And then you have Saturn, who has rings. He has a crown around his head because he's Lord of the Rings. All of the other spheres of energy reside within his domain. So that's all that occult stuff. And everything's tied to us, and we are everything. So when you get to this level of awareness, you're like, wow, so what are we doing here? And this is where the great deception happened. Because when you look into Egypt, think about the sound frequencies now for a moment. We're going to just listen to the terms. We know that Egypt was Kemet, or Chem, right? Khem was like the shortened version of Kemet. Kemet was the land of alchemy, for spirit alchemy, for chemistry. And it became, after the Romans took over, because they had all these different wars, and it basically ties all the way back to the Ottoman Empire and Rome and all these other things. But it became He-Gypt without the H, because an H is silent in most languages. So Egypt, GYP, means swindler. So what is reality? That's why I think ultimately we have to go within to find reality. Who am I? Who are you? Who are we together? What are we co-creating? Because I will tell you this. Now, it's interesting having property, and I'm sure that you have enjoyed having land around you. I have 3.5 acres, and I notice all the different edible plants. It's something that I've been interested in, is what I can eat in my yard. So very, very interesting experiment with my mind. I didn't try to do this on purpose, but I was like, every day I go out by the water spigot to get water for the animals and all that. And I'm passing by one day and I was like, you know what? I've walked all around this property and I have not seen this thing. That it's a plant they call it, in the unofficial name, a lamb's quarter. And I was like, and I planted that thought near the spigot. Well, what happened? That plant grew near the spigot. And I was like, wait a minute. It was about 6 inches high. And I was like, is that a lamb's quarter? I'm like, did I just impregnate the ether with a thought and create a plant from out of nothing? This is a science experiment. And I say we go out here and we experiment, because another thing that I've been doing since I've been here for about 5 years, and I go out and I think I want to see more clover. I want to see more of specific plants. And what is happening now? They're popping up everywhere, and the flowers too. Like, so I had this idea in my head about, I want to see lyripy, whatever it is, surrounding the trees, and I want the flowers to only go in circles around the trees. What has happened? Flowers have popped up from out of nowhere. They encircled the trees, and now they've spread all over my yard. They're called spiderwort, and they're edible. So I don't know. Am I just imagining all of this? I find that hard to believe, if you can actually put thoughts out and then watch them. And it's a slow, dense reality. So it just comes, out of the ether. And when you start studying all this stuff about Hermeticism and astrotheology and what the ancients knew, and all this mind manipulation stuff with manifesting your reality and remote viewing and astral projecting and all this stuff, this is where it's going. And it's basically, if you read the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, it says in advanced levels of incarnations for different humans. I don't know if they're human. I mean, they look human by all intents and purposes. They are manifesting their reality with their minds alone. So what is that telling us? When I came across the Emerald Tablets back in 2014, something inside of me was like a little alarm bell going, beep. It resonated so strongly, like it just felt like Cliff's Notes, because it's not very long, but it went into all of these practices. And I was like, OMG, this is like the Cliff's Notes for all of our reality. And what are we doing now? We are the product of chaos magic. But I don't know if people really see that yet,
What's your definition of chaos magic?
So chaos magic, and it can be, again, since we live in this duality, you can create order ab chaos, order out of chaos. But you can also do the reverse, where you're creating chaos out of order. Because in this reality, because of the duality, because of the dark and the light, you have the creation and destruction. And those are another duality. And you can see that even if you look this deep, if you gain the eyes to see it in this regard, what are we doing to deconstruct nature at this point? To create and facilitate the human condition and the human desire, what are we doing right now? We create roads, we create metal buildings with glass, and we create more machines. All of these things imbibe our consciousness, but they're not necessarily life, like plants and nature and animals and things that have their own life. So in essence, we've created this extreme division, and that's what we continue to create with artificial intelligence, is like an extreme division between this now artificial intelligence and the real natural world. And that is what the Age of Aquarius represents. If you look at how the Age of Aquarius is represented by the physical body, the human body, we begin at the ankles and go up the shins through the Age of Aquarius to just below the kneecap. That, it tells me, in symbolism alone, it tells me that we are creating two foundational forces right now. And one is the metaverse and the, I don't know if you'd call it septic world. It is going to be the world that is artificial life, and it's representing, I think, the more yin or dark principle of our existence. Whereas then you have people who are pushing away from that that type of experience and embracing more of the natural reality, nature and growing food and embracing farming. I'm seeing this division right now. And that is the foundations for the age of Aquarius as we go up and we rise in our consciousness. So at the end of the age is when we have these different final exams. Like what we're experiencing right now is like a final exam for the age of Pisces. And finally, everybody has popped online, at least, a good percentage of the population has popped online and they're like, wait a minute, what's going on? It's almost like they've just stuck their head above the waters and said, wait, is there something else that's happening? Maybe there's something else to this existence, especially in 2020. I truly feel that 2020 was like, because they stopped the world, all of a sudden people can see outside of that bubble of the 9-to-5 workplace, where you're constantly feeling like you're at a dead-end job and you're not getting anywhere in life. And that's why that people have not returned to their jobs. They're actually realizing that they can do something else. Because that's exactly what I did. I said, you know what? No more Hollywood. I don't want to be under their magic spell. Let me go create my own magic. So this is what I think people are actually realizing. And we can create a more unified, beautiful world if we realize that it requires us together, working together as one unit instead of separately, because that's why they call it the universe or one voice system. It's a one sound system and everything is created through the sound frequencies. So, I mean, it's very, very deep, all of this stuff, if you choose that, but you can choose to be at any level that you wish because we have free will. But getting back to Ahriman's control, Ahriman is gaining control of us through our acquiescence or our compliance to contract with it. And this is when we agree to the terms and conditions to any application and to any program or process that we find in this septic alternate reality that we use and employ as our either entertainment or for work. It's sucking our consciousness. Every time we open our laptop or turn on our phone or go in front of a screen, for the computers, the computers with the TVs and watching TV, it's pulling our attention and our consciousness, our awareness, and our consent away from us. So we're inviting vampires into our world. And I don't know if you've learned about BRICS Pay. Have you been looking into BRICS Pay?
BRICS nations, or you mean Fed
BRICS.
Now or the CBDCs?
Okay, so you have centralized and decentralized currency.
Right, correct, yes.
BRICS Pay is going to be decentralized. And
the BRICS nations?
BRICS.
Yeah, the BRICS nations. I've been doing some research. Now, this is Brazil, Russia, China, India, Argentina, and they've got a multitude of other nations that want to join. Here's what BRICS Pay says from the website. According to BRICSPay.com, decentralized multi-currency digital international payment system. Yeah, this is a part of the BRICS system. Yeah, Brazil, yes. Russia, India, China, South Africa.
All of these other channels that we're using in this country are centralized currency, which means it can be controlled and you will be controlled as well. So, little known fact, I am in a dispute with PayPal over some monies that I did not wish to receive. I tried to send them back to the sender and it took it out of my personal banking account and left my account in arrears, which then threw it into overdraft. And I have been battling with PayPal to this day that I am threatening a lawsuit, legal action against PayPal for stealing money from my personal banking account. That's money that was in their system that they refused to release. And I said, you know what? You can't do this because I've learned a bit about law. and they cannot withhold funds from anyone for any reason. And they're withholding funds from me, and they were withholding it from that person, but they robbed my bank account to pay them back. And I'm like, this is in your system. Release the money to them or give me my money back. So that's a whole another level, but I'm just warning people that is the level of control that's coming. And they're testing the waters right now on people. And I will not be tested because I know my rights. This is going to be very, very powerful for people to go and learn some things about law and to know their absolute rights, because it is coming down the pipe. I wanted to close my account with PayPal. They will not do it. They're withholding the funds. I will not go and close my account myself because I'm afraid that they're just going to wipe their screen and there goes any proof that I had the money. So, it's ugly. That's why I say we've got to look into the symbolism with everything. So with Bitcoin, look at the symbolism that's with Bitcoin. Just the logo. The logos are speaking a language that we need to learn. At least we need to illuminate others' minds and into this trail of knowledge that is called symbolism. And the etymology of words. A bit is used in a horse's bridle to steer the horse in a particular direction. We started using the term bit once we came into this type of technology. We use bits and bytes and all of this stuff in the computers. But it is very important to know, as you go backwards in time, you're going to start finding the truth about all of these things that they're using right now. And they try to reestablish a new idea or concept with something that's been used for a very long time. And the original intention of anything is where the power lies, in any sound frequency and word and term. So the Bitcoin, and someone else expressed this, it's a B, but it's the number 13 because it has a line and then it has the 3 with the little stems of the 3 coming out past the line. And then the coin itself, like the design of the coin, has all of this digital readout stuff. And even the words are like the old IBM computers or something. That, it talks about decentralized currency or something. I think they're going to flip once they get everybody hooked on that. And it's a circle, but it has one exit. So it's like filtering the energy out in one direction. It's important to see this kind of stuff. And also go look at the logo for BricsPay. It's a star and it has the 7 colors. Well, it has some of the 7 colors of the rainbow. It has the rainbow ribbon that winds around it, around the outside of the star that it forms. Very, very important to know that it's of the light. The dark side, the antithesis, the shadow government, the shadow realm, has tried to instill fear and anger and hatred towards certain symbols, terms, words, and ancient knowledge. So things like Isis, for example. Isis was a moon goddess. But what have they tried to do? They tried to subvert it into, it's associated with this dark, deceptive group of that is out, doing all these evil things to people in other countries. It's an extremist group. And then, other things like the rainbow itself. They've tried to get people to associate it with that's something bad, or that's something that is of a lesser value to the main population because it's associated with a particular type of a group of people, and it's not right, because the 7 rays is in all of us. It is the chakra system. It's the 7 Elohim that are inside of us. And, it's just, what can you do but just try to help where you can and encourage people to teach themselves and engage themselves in their own symbolic journey. Learning symbolism, learning colors is very, very important. It's speaking a language. The flags of nations, they're speaking a language. And it's all there if you learn the signs. Jordan Maxwell was the one who set my feet on that path. So I do credit him for that. And I started again learning what he was teaching himself as well. And it's just digging, trying to do, self lessons. It's the autodidactic.
I want to hear more about the connection with the different planets. So we talked about Jupiter being above the root chakra, and it's interesting. You can, without a doubt, if you have access to a Kirlian camera, you can see, if you have someone take a photograph of this Kirlian camera, you can see what your aura looks like. You can see how focused your chakras are. I've seen Kirlian photographs of my own aura and others. And the first time, what's that?
You have a Kirlian photography camera?
I don't, but I went to a conference where there was one. And so I had him take a photo, and the image was like, the whole image was dark burgundy. It was hardcore root chakra, like almost 100%. And it was just, it filled up the entire image. Then I had one done again a couple years later, and it was not quite as intense with the one color, but it was still basically the root chakra. And then my friend had hers done, and you could see the individual chakras like going up. Wow. And not all the way up to the crown chakra, but you could see some of the inside, and it was like the detail was there and everything. I was like, oh, very interesting. They live.
The truth coming out. Yeah, no, right. Hey.
They live. Oh my gosh. So there's this really cool song that I've been listening to lately called I Can See the Color of Your Soul. And that's powerful, right? Just those words. I can see the color of your soul.
Yes. How much light do you imbibe? It's the embodiment. Yeah, it is. It's intergalactic, planetary, intergalactic.
Ding dong, bing, 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 bong, bing, 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 bing.
Intergalactic, planetary.
I miss the Beastie Boys. I saw them in concert in Salt Lake City, actually. 20, 30 years ago, 25 years ago. How old am I? I'm attempting to reverse age. I'm working on it. I don't have the $2 million a year budget that one guy has, but let
me tell you a little experiment that I did, because I don't know if I should be saying this live on the air, because these are like secrets of the universe. So it's like secrets of the universe. No, seriously? Okay, there's a reason why gold is highly sought after, and it's not about money. So I have not made my own colloidal gold, but they say that it turns to a white powder when you colloidal it. And I did buy some from supposedly an authentic source, and it comes colloidal. It is white-ish. It's like a white inside a liquid substance. And I suspect the liquid substance is just distilled water, because this is how you make colloidal silver. Now, after looking into different occult images and symbolism there, I came across an image of a human body with the right eye as the sun and the left eye as the moon. And it dawned on me that the right eye is gold and the left eye is silver. And that is part of the Philosopher's Stone, to know the elixir of life. Mix colloidal gold and colloidal silver together, and you can prolong life. So what do? I give it to my sick chicken. Oh my gosh. So my chicken, I had 2 roosters, and one was a beautiful gray rooster. He was a gray lavender Orpington is the breed. And this Rhode Island red shows up one day in my yard. Well, the Rhode Island red is fiery as Mars. So he fought with the gray one and scratched his eye. And the gray rooster went downhill in his health. And I gave him this suspected elixir of life. What happens to this rooster? He will not die. And I am not kidding. So he is suffering greatly because he can't eat because he's got an infected eye and something else is going on. So I'm trying to feed this rooster every day. I kept this rooster alive for, I don't know, 3 months because I was feeding him. And he wasn't getting any better and he wasn't getting any worse, but he was not dying. And I was like, this is bizarre. I'm like, this rooster, I was like, please take this rooster. I'm like, all gods in heaven or whatever. I'm like, please let him die. He wouldn't die. And, you know, I don't want to say this on live camera, but I had to stop feeding him in order for him to finally take off from this realm. And it took a long time. And I was like, you have got to be kidding me. So I do caution, if this platinum substance is some aspect of an elixir of life, I do have a word of caution that it can prolong your suffering just as long as it prolongs your life. It is suspected, but is it a possibility? Hey, stranger things have happened. But with occult knowledge and symbolism, I suspect that the gold is an aspect, because the gold is the Atlan and the Lumeria would be the moon. So it's like, oh, this is all in the ancient deep dive of alchemy. And you look and you go, oh my gosh, the philosopher's stone is us. We are the stone that needs to be polished and honed to a shining gold like the sun. And that's in Aristotle's work. But in alchemy, supposedly, you know, you can create these elixirs and prolong your life with base metals. And the base metals are tied to the 7 Elohim or 7 rays in the chakras. So
let me jump in on that though, real quick, because I know people that have done experiments with the metals and they thought they were doing monatomic gold and all this kind of stuff. And they were putting things in jars and they're like, look, dude, this is awesome. I've been drinking this stuff for months. I feel amazing. Except for that one time I got strep throat really bad, like for weeks after. You got to, like, I would personally not do it. I would personally not recommend it, because if you're putting metals in your body, first of all, like, how often does organic biology not jive with metals? So unless it's like the true secret formula that the ancients knew, because I've wondered that before too. I mean, like, Ellen, I'm like, why is gold so valuable? Why is gold money? I like gold. I think it's great. I mean, it's a great way to hedge against inflation. It's a great way to, if you hang on to it, you can be very successful with gold. And I'm a big fan of gold, but I've wondered, like, why did the ancients into gold? What was the original thing with gold? And then you've heard the stories about monatomic gold. Now, another thing I'm going to say, I'm going to ask you a question, Ellen. Did you pay, how much of that monatomic gold did you buy, and how much did it cost?
This was a few years ago, so I don't remember the exact amount, but it comes in a little vial with the eyedropper and everything. And I suspect, though, you have to have the purest gold available. It has to come straight from the earth. And we have metals that are mixed with other metals in order to make them hard. Like jewelry, you don't want to, I mean, you know,
but you could still get 24 karat gold, or, you know, close to it. My point is, like, if you're going out buying monatomic gold, first of all, gold is almost $2,000 an ounce, right?
Yeah.
So if they're making monatomic gold and you want to get just one vial, how much of that vial is actually monatomic gold? Is it an ounce of water and a microgram of this stuff? And then they're charging you $500, or are they saying, oh, this is real monatomic gold? It's an ounce of monatomic gold, and they're charging you like $100 for it. And you're like, well, wait a second, gold's $2,000 an ounce. How the hell are you giving me an ounce of monatomic gold for $100?
And I bought this vial, like, I don't know, 7-8 years ago, and it's been sitting in my alchemical chest, you know, it's in my apothecary. And so it was way before the gold went to extremes that it is today. But I suspect you have to have the purest metals, because when you look into the 7 planets, they're tied to 7 particular metals. Iron is Mars, Iron Man, and we have iron. That's what makes our blood cells red. So then Jupiter is 10. The sun is gold. Venus is copper. The moon is silver. And obviously Mercury is liquid mercury, quicksilver. Saturn is lead, is poison. So yes. So the
But what could lead be used for if you weren't consuming it? It could protect you against radiation, right? So it could be a protector as well.
It can protect you against 5G.
Yeah, 5G sucks. I think this Altoids can could protect me from 5G. It's just that's why they got it everywhere. So it could just bang, 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 tag you all day long. But anyway, that's a whole other topic. No. You'll get better reception with 5G. It's so much faster. Every time I get 5G on my phone, it's like, well, I can't. What's going on? Yes, we've tracked him, but his cell phone reception's terrible, sir. We tricked these fools. 4G was fine, like 3G is not that fast. 4G was okay, but I'm not a big fan of cell phone towers. But at the same time, it's like that evil necessity, right? In a sense. But I ain't moving my house next to a cell phone tower. I ain't working next to a cell phone tower. My router's in the corner of the house. So I do my best to avoid EMF stuff, and EMFs can cause some opportunities, folks. Like there's no question about that. And some people are very sensitive to EMF stuff. So that's why we've got clothing and gear that will literally block EMF radiation, and you can test it with EMF detectors and see that it clearly works. It's not like buying, I know some people think shungite will protect you from radiation, and I don't know, but you can get shungite and you can still get a router and put the shungite next to the router and test the radiation levels, and the radiation levels are still the same. So not any different, so, but I've heard shungite can be very beneficial. And, this colloidal silver, monatomic gold, I wonder if some of the real ancient stuff, I wouldn't doubt if the Vatican in their archives had like the truth,
of course,
the recipes, right?
Yes.
I mean, I can't prove it, but
they were finding that white powder substance among the pyramids and stuff too. They were finding it inside some of what they call the temples, and they were like, what are they making? Well, somebody who did like a little remote viewing, they said that there were like these priests in robes who were creating this powder and feeding it to some of the other disciples. And I assume that maybe it escalated their awareness. I don't know, but here's the thing to know. The copper and silver are yin. They are the only female principal metals. And that's why we can use copper implements and silver. Remember, that's why we call our forks and spoons and knives silverware. We don't have silverware anymore. We have steelware. And steel may not be the best thing we should be putting in our mouths. But, the copper absolutely is. It's beneficial with the electroculture stuff that's coming about now. They're spiraling copper wires and things around plants. This was also spoken about in Marcel Vogel's work. He came across one of the I can't remember the guy's name. It was some other scientist who actually spiraled a copper wire. He drove a rod in the ground, like a grounding copper, and then spiraled a copper wire attached to the rod around a plant clockwise several times, and it removed the cancer from the plant. Because he induced cancer in the plant, and then he removed it by using this copper. Spiraling clockwise, very important, because it's spiraling in a pulling sensation. You're pulling in energy. If you want to push it out, you counterclockwise. So, that electroculture is huge right now, and people are rediscovering the abilities, amazing healing effects of copper. and healing plants and healing nature and, doing all these things. So yeah, all of the secrets of the universe are coming back, Rex. Are you ready?
My middle name's ready. Now, the Cabalian 7 Hermetic principles. Let's share this real quick. Super important and very beneficial to your mindset, to who you are as a being, to your spirituality, to your mental capacity, your physical capabilities, just everything. Here we go. The principle of mentalism, the principle of correspondence, the principle of vibration, the principle of polarity, the principle of rhythm, the principle of cause and effect, the principle of gender. Everything. It's all there. There's your 7 keys. Talking about the 7 major keys, the 7 Elohim connected to the planets, your chakras, your soul, your spirit, your body. It's right there. You study and understand those 7 keys. Those will be keys to help you unlock the universe.
All we have to do is not react. Like reflection, less reaction is what will elevate us, because we can't control everyone else. But if people act like children, you have to go, I'm not going to buy into like that hook, line, and sinker of getting triggered, because that's the part we have to work on. It's like, okay.
Yeah. There's going to be all these like, okay, profilers, Rex Bear gets triggered. Right? We'll be like, I'll be out doing something someday and be like, oh, Rex, big fan of yours, dude. The earth's flat. And they'll just watch me go.
And then you just go, it's time for AMSR, Rex Bear Leap Project. I'm going to be very calm because these people are freaks.
No,
just basically
what you said was brilliant. Like, why shouldn't let it bother me? I really should.
Because that's what's so this is what's happening. You are giving your emotional energy into someone else's belief. And why? Because it's only getting you upset. You're attacking yourself at this point. Because as you attack someone else, you're attacking yourself. Believe me, I learned the hard way on this lesson. I don't attack people. I can't. I will create a negative bubble that will backlash me 3 times. This is how the universe works. 3, power of 3 is immense. And when you truly do introspection, like my whole life has been nothing but one long reel of, oh my gosh, look at what I just did. Look at what I do to myself. Whenever I get mad, this happens to my car because of the 2 battery cables, positive and negative. When you get into hermetics and you learn from Franz Barden, you learn that the right side is positive, the left side is negative, all these different things. Then you go, oh my gosh, this is magnetic, that's electric. And you go, my hands are battery cables and I'm attacking people in traffic or whatever. Oh my gosh, you just cut me off here. They can't hear me. It doesn't even matter. I'm attacking myself at that point. And the same thing goes whenever you attack someone. So instead of getting angry, train your mind, because the neurons, the neural pathways will absolutely transform as you force yourself to think, no, I'm not going to get angry. Why am I getting angry? What for? It's eliciting emotional states that don't make me happy. And I'm attacking someone because they're not on the level of awareness that I am. We can have different belief systems and it be fine. And I'm still your friend. We're all one big family. Why are we getting so upset about stupid stuff? Really? It's just creating more disharmony and more division in our world. So if we turn our thoughts to a more loving intention, oh my gosh, maybe I need to understand you more. Maybe I need to comprehend this whole situation. Maybe I need to take a step back and reflect and look at this situation and go, oh, well, I've learned this, you've learned that, but it doesn't mean that I don't like you, just because we're different, just because, this person's green and this one's purple, does it mean they can't get along? I don't know. we really have to do the introspection. This is how we ascend in our awareness and our journey. And we realize that, wow, I feel so much better now. I don't have to feel all this anger and demise towards someone. And like, I'm going to attack someone with my words. Oh, they're crazy. Oh, wow. No, it's about, I need to calm myself down because I don't feel good right now. You know, and you know what I've done? So I have a harp, and it is Grecian. And I take that thing with me when I have to go in traffic, because the traffic is a nightmare in Atlanta. If I have to go drive in that traffic, I have that harp laying in my lap. And do you know that my higher self spirit can play some of the best Celtic songs you've ever heard in your life? You know, if I just zone out, but I'm not even thinking about what I'm playing. I'm just letting my hand choose the notes. And man, I'm going to start making music. I'm going to make an album soon, because I'm like, this is amazing. Because I'm just meditating. I'm not even getting involved with what the traffic's doing, what people are doing to me in traffic. I'm just like, I'm in my own etheric realm. Very positive stuff. Change your perspective, change your life, you know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's all mindset. It's all mindset. Oh, and I was just going to say, so yeah, I've got a guy coming on at noon that his dad worked for NASA and he found a bunch of stuff in his closet. So we're going to see what it is. I don't know. He's going to show a bunch of stuff.
What?
You know, when I went to the Space Museum in New Mexico, a lot of one of the secret space NASA planes and a lot of the stuff inside that was from NASA, they just, to me, they look like props. And they're like, and this was used to do this, and this is used to do this. I'm like, oh, wow, it looks like it came out of Hollywood. That's great. So I get what, you know, I just want to make that very clear, but we just got to use discernment, folks. I mean, use discernment. And I'm going to take your advice and I'm going to be like, well, I guess I got to have something that triggers me, right? We all got to have something. I mean, you got to have something, right? No, anyway, but I'm going to work on that because you're right. I mean,
It's about letting go. Listen, I'm ready to let go of all the material stuff. I am at this journey where I'm like, no, I need to seek whatever it is my spirit needs right now. I need to seek that. My spirit wants to let go of everything physical, like all this junk, you know, that I'm like, why do I have all this stuff? I don't know. Accumulation of years. And I'm like, I'm going to have a big yard sale and get rid of a lot of stuff, make it more feng shui, bring in the feng shui energy of simplicity and really streamline the energy. Because
I'm like totally right there with you. I totally want to do the same thing. I'm thinking yard sale, estate sale. Like, can I get somebody to come out here and list a bunch of stuff for me on eBay? I got all this stuff that I just, yeah. We're like tapping into the etheric vibe, Ellen.
Because our spirit is calling us back home. The spirit of the universe is calling us. And only if we heed the call, because we have free will to go, I don't really feel like doing that. And then we just keep going on, you know, this road, whatever this road is. But we can't take all this junk with us. So why are we so concerned about it? It's called possessions for a reason.
Ooh. Possessions. You know,
they possess us.
Sweeps Cowgirl in Arizona says, Rex, can you please let Ellen know that she is really helping me through the awakening process? She is so insightful and knows exactly what I need to hear. Thank you, Rex, for hosting all these amazing guests. My pleasure. It's an honor. Thanks.
Yeah, I love her.
Yeah, she's awesome. And and then Kat said something really nice. Where'd it go? I totally agree with her. Why can't we all just get along? I think she's cool. And there you go. All right. Well, folks, this has been amazing. And Ellen, let's do this again. Like maybe we could even do it in July or the end of June or something. We could do a follow-up. Can you share with people what you shared with me, or do you not want to? And if you don't want to, that's totally cool.
Yeah, no, I have a class every Sunday. We meet every Sunday online on Zoom at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I have Journey of Selfhood. And we go over, because I said, you know what? Hermetics, Kundalini yoga, pranayama, doing all these different spiritual things. We do meditations with the elements through Franz Barden's teachings. We do all this stuff. And I said, all of this belongs in one unit. It's compartmentalized because it got scattered after the end of the golden age. And it was fragmented. All the knowledge was fragmented, and now it's starting to coalesce once more. And so all this movement, which is a fire principle, all of the sound frequencies of cymatics coming from your voice, you know, the auditory principle, meditating, it's all one unit. So all of the different practices that are out here belong in one unit and one teaching. You can't find that anywhere. So I said, you know what? I'm not an adept. I am not a guru. But I want to learn Franz Barden's work. I want to learn Kundalini yoga, or at least employ it in my practice, do the pranayama breath work, do the sun gazing, all these other things, because I started to activate all of the principalities inside of me when I took Kundalini yoga and I was doing all these spiritual practices. I was grounding myself to the earth, no shoes, and I was also sun gazing. And one of the things I wasn't doing was doing the mantra, like the sound frequencies, because it's very important to also do the toning of your voice to feel the resonant frequency inside of you. This is what they'll teach you in other spiritual arenas. And it's legitimate. So the second night that I had Kundalini yoga, I was in a lucid state, and I felt the Kundalini energy rise from the base of my spine up to the back of my neck. Yes, it's absolutely going to work. It will launch you like a rocket. So you have to be mindful and ready. Your mind has to be ready for the spiritual experience of a lifetime, is all I can say. And even all the gurus in India will warn people, if you're not ready, you can lose your mind. And you don't need DMT and all these other things. You will activate all of the principles inside of you, because all of your chakras are going to light up, and you are going to pow, and you're going to shoot out of your body. All I can say is that I was staging myself for that by doing all the spiritual practice. And it is absolutely real. If only people would find themselves again and really go inward instead of outward. External is the illusion that we are following. We follow a narrative as we traverse around the great wheel cycle. And the souls that are following the narrative, the story that's being spun for each astrological age, they're not quite fully integrated into the path of awakening yet. Because if you're following what's being told, you haven't gone back and said, no, what is this reality? Let me look at what the philosophers of old were saying about this reality. Let me look into Rosicrucianism. Let me look into the mystery schools, the mysticism, all of these other things that are out here ready for us, because it's all being dumped into the collective consciousness online right now, and in books and everywhere. It's being promoted everywhere. But I will say this, and I'm going to be digging further. This is very, very important right now. Hermetics. I'm going to be doing an expose on Hermes and who Hermes truly was, because he was not Thoth. And I just want to plant this seed, because I suspect, after looking into the Celtic Golden Dawn, sound frequencies is the most important frequency to note in any magical practice. In Hermetics, you have the Kabbalah and the Tree of Life. And the sound frequencies that are being promoted online are not the same sound frequencies for the Tree of Life in the Celtic Golden Dawn. And I suspect that with the Tree of Life and Kabbalah, it could possibly be tied to the left-hand path, or the path of darkness, which is yin. And then the Celtic Golden Dawn has a different set of sound frequencies. You cannot find those sound frequencies online. I've been digging. I've been trying to find their little schematic. I'm just going to have to take a photo from the book that I have and put it out there and start comparing the sound frequencies that they use for each Sephiroth. So just be mindful, because the Vatican's been using the black magic, and all of their associates, they've been using the black magic. And they know obviously, about this timeline because they've been following the astrotheology and all of that stuff. And they knew that people would be looking into their selves. They would be going inward and looking into Kabbalah and all of these other things. So what are you going to do? You're going to set traps. And I've seen so many traps out here in so many different directions with sucking people into a problematic situation, with the legal system and all this stuff that's coming about. I'm like, look, I'm sitting back. I'm not going to dive into this sovereignty thing until I know absolutely beyond a shadow of a doubt that people are actually resolving things. But the Vatican, I would say, would put out traps for people to get themselves caught up into. So sounding the Sephiroth and Malkuth and all that, I'm like, that sound doesn't really sound like a sound of light, for example. When you're going downwards in your tones, woo, you're then going up, woo, then there's a difference. And to note the sound frequencies, now that we know that sound emits light, talking about the light bubbles and everything, what is this that they're putting out and promoting as good or beneficial for magical practice? I just say a word of caution. I have not been toning any of them, of the Sephiroth or anything. Malkuth honestly sounds like a demon's name, but I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, it's different from Celtic Golden Dawn. Just words to the wise. And so I do the Journey of Selfhood on Sundays at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's $15 a month. We do it every single Sunday, 6 p.m. And it's all about inward. What can we do? Because you get into these things and you're on your own path, basically, of learning, because there's not a mystery school out here where you can physically go. Oh, well, not in my area anyway. You can go up to Delphi in Atlanta, like above Atlanta, I think. Somewhere in Georgia, there's Delphi, but I've never been there.
The devil went down to Georgia. Folks, this is, I got a boogie. I got a podcast in 7 minutes, but really appreciate you, Ellen. And did you give your YouTube channel, your website? Would you please do that real quick before we go?
Yeah, so my YouTube channel is ERA, E-R-A, of my ways. A lot of people know that already. And then my website, I have two websites. I have ellensart.com and wellenbe, wellenbe.com.
Great. All right. Well, Ellen, you have a beautiful day, and thank you for hanging out with me. Be the change you want to see, everybody. This is the Rocky Mountain High Podcast, reporting to you live in a garage down by the river.
Thanks, Rex.
Thank you.